Hi from Teacher Melissa, and this is another video in my Diversity Within the VIPKid classroom. So if you've seen any of the tips on my Tips and Tricks, VIPKid Teachers Tips and Tricks Facebook page, we've decided to devote Mondays tip of the day to something about diversity and how we as teachers can promote diversity within our VIPKid classrooms. Because let's face it, our Chinese students have often not seen a black person in person before. It's a pretty closed society, and yes, there are some black people in China, but generally a little bit of racism going on there in China as well, and students pick that up from their society, just like any country, just like any culture, right? And our students tend to watch a lot of American movies, and doesn't always look real great for that either, does it? So we want to work on that a little bit. So I'm going to be brave and I'm going to give you my thoughts on what I do in my classroom. You're an independent contractor, you can do whatever you like. But I'm just going to tell you what I do in my classroom. So this one is called What to Do If a Student Makes Racial Comments in Your Classroom. Now, I want to start off first of all, and I want to say this. I'm an old white lady. I get it. I get that I don't get it. Okay? I don't have any firsthand knowledge of the kind of racial discrimination that we're talking about here. So I just want to go on the record as saying for myself, if you are a person of color, if you are a teacher of color, I am not even asking you to do any of these things. Now, I've got a lot of notes here because I have so many emotionally charged things to say that I don't want to forget. So forgive me if I look at my notes a little bit. I'm not asking you to do anything if you are a teacher of color, okay? It's not your job when you feel you have been violated, if you feel that you are distraught because of what just happened in your classroom, if you feel emotionally unable to deal with that because you are a person of color and it was directed directly at you, or because something a student said about what is on the classroom screen is also a direct reflection, or you feel like it was aimed at you also, I'm not asking you to do anything. You are perfectly within your right, in my opinion, to shut down that class for that. And you can type this class is canceled due to unexpected reasons, close out that classroom, call the fireman, and send it in a ticket. I don't think that you should be expected as a victim of that discrimination to sit there and suffer through that. And it's not your job to teach this kid. Now, if you feel able to do that and you want to, great, go right ahead. But I don't want you to think that I'm asking you to do that. You have been violated right here. You've been discriminated against, and I'm not asking you to step in and do any teachable moment there unless you feel like that you want to do that. So I just want to put that right out there first. Now, that being said, I do have my grandchildren, and they are children of color. So I just want to show up a quick picture here. Oh, these are my babies, and I love them so much. My very light-haired, blonde, almost blonde, blue-eyed, pale-skinned, freckled daughter married a very, very dark black man with beautiful long braids, and these are their beautiful children. So I am vested in what I'm going to say. I am vested in trying to make the world a better place for my grandchildren, for my son-in-law, okay? So I do have a vested interest in this. Now, I have a vested interest just because I'm a human being. I have a special vested interest, I feel, in my personal beliefs because I'm a Christian. Whatever beliefs you have that make you vested in this, I invite you to join me and see if we can do something about this, okay? So I'm just going to leave it at that and go on. All right, so now I'm speaking to the rest of us, because when this happens, and it's only happened one or two times, but it does happen, lots of teachers I'm on lots of Facebook pages. Lots of teachers have reported this. Now, it's not widespread. It's not most of the students, but it does happen often enough that it is something that we want to be ready for. Just because it hasn't happened to you yet does not mean it doesn't happen. Maybe it hasn't happened to you yet. So being proactive and being ready and having a plan in place is a good idea, right? Racism in your own life, in your day-to-day life. Practice. Have something ready. Know what you want to say when someone makes a racial remark. Be ready. Same thing in our classrooms, okay? So even though it happens and I might feel upset about it, I don't have that same upset that a teacher of color does. So feel like it's on me to step out and make that statement, okay? So first of all, let's say something, usually it's something like this. You pull up a slide like this, okay? And there are some people of color. They might be children, they might be adults, it might even, whatever, okay? And there's some people of color on the slide, okay? And the student is going to make some kind of remark occasionally, or maybe they will circle, or maybe they will scribble, all right? So first things first, this is what I always do. We've got a language barrier and we're talking to children. So first things first, for every behavior issue, no matter what, my personal policy is I always assume innocence, okay? So I just assume innocence. They're kids. And I'm going to approach it with that first. Now, for instance, just a couple days ago on a slide very similar to this, I had one of my students. He's a beginner level 3, so he's kind of an advanced. He's in beginner level 3, but he's pretty advanced, and has quite a bit of English, grammatically incorrect, but quite a bit of English. And a slide came up like this, and it was like this. It was school children, and he laughed and said, "Ha, 2 black students." And I said, "Oh, yes, I see 2 black students. In America, we have black and white students and other colors too." And he said, "Yes." And we swiped on. Okay. Now, for me, I assumed innocence. He was excited to see some black students. Did he laugh? Yes, but I could gauge that it was not a derisive laugh. He wasn't making fun. He was almost delighted. I shouldn't say almost. He was very delighted. "Oh, look, there's the black students." And I said, "Yes, there are. Yay." And he clapped his little hands and we went on. Now, that may not always be the case. You have to judge that for yourself. If it's a regular, it's much easier to judge. If it's a new student, it might be a little bit harder. So you're going to make that very positive. I shouldn't say you. This is what I do. Do what you want. Sorry. That's what I do. I make some kind of positive, happy remark in return and gauge what the student does. So they're either going to say, "Oh, yes, oh, that's interesting," or something, or they're going to look a little bit embarrassed and say, oh, yes, teacher, yes. And then, they realize they've made a little faux pas. They're kids, okay? They said something inappropriate, and they're going to adjust that, okay? First thing I'm going to do is just assume innocence, especially if it's just a remark that points out that they are black people, okay? They're kids. Kids point and say stuff all the time. Now, if they immediately scribble out with the mouse, this is what I've seen happen in my class, and many teachers have reported. Shouldn't say many. Some teachers have reported. The student scribbles out the black people, and they'll say something like, "Oh, no, they are ugly. They are ugly." Okay? This is the most common thing of people who report instances like this. They might scribble it out, or they might say, "Oh, they're bad. They're ugly." That's the common thing that we see. Okay? If that happens, I immediately restore the slide so everything's erased and quickly shut off their mouse. Okay? And then I pull out this flag. This is what I say. "Oh, in America, we think every skin is beautiful. Young skin, old wrinkle skin, like teacher Melissa, white skin, black skin. We think all skin color is beautiful. Do you think my skin color is beautiful? Do you like it? Do you like my wrinkles?" Okay, that kid's going to say yes. All right? Then I'm just going to go on and say, "Yes, we think black skin is beautiful also. And we think Chinese skin is beautiful." Okay? No more scribbling. Okay? No more. Okay? Most of the time it stops right there. They either say, oh, okay, they say, oh, yes, beautiful, or they look embarrassed or they're a little shocked and they don't know what to do. You just smile and go to the next one. You've made your point. Now, whether you think that's absolutely true or not, we're doing very generalized, simple language for our non-English speaking students. If they are a level 7 and you want to get into a discussion that some people in America are wrong because they do not think all skin is beautiful or they do not treat people fairly, and you've got an upper level student and you think it's appropriate, you run with it. I do. Okay? This type that I'm talking about right here is for lower level students that have limited English vocabulary. So you decide in your classroom what you think is appropriate, how far you want to go. I try very hard at this point to not reprimand the student. I'm not going to say, no, that is not nice. Okay? The student has no clue what they have done. All right? I am going to keep it like incredulous. Oh, no. We think all skin is beautiful. Look, just like I said, all right? I'm not going to reprimand at the first point because they don't get it, all right? Now, most of the time, you're good, you're golden, you just move on. I do not mention it to parents in feedback, but I do mention it to the learning partner. To the learning partner, I will say the student scribbled out the black skinned people on the slides. They made a remark they were ugly. I told the student it was inappropriate. The student did not do it anymore. Please watch the class playback and speak to the parents. I only say that to the LP because the student stopped. They didn't do it anymore. All right? Now, what if they keep going and they say, no, they're ugly? And I say, then I'm going to go down to a neutral face. I'm going to say, no. In my classroom, we do not say this. It is not nice. We do not say this about people with black skin. It is not nice. We do not do that. Stop. Okay? See my long, awkward pause with my neutral face? Then I'm going to go, are you ready to continue? Ready for class? Okay. My smile's back and I go. All right? In that instance, I'm still going to say something to the LP. If they just keep going on and on after I've asked them with a, oh, smiley face, no, we do not. Or I've told them with my neutral face, no, we do not do that. Notice my voice isn't raised up. I'm not angry. This is my neutral face. No, we do not do that in class. No. If they continue, then I am clicking that fireman button for behavior, and I'm going to say, wait, please. Let's call mom. I will tell fireman to call mom. The fireman will help us. And I get my phone, and I'm actually calling the fireman on my phone, but I'm clicking it on the screen so the student sees that I've called the fireman and reported them for behavior. Okay? Then I'm using my voice to text, and I'm talking right into this phone when I'm calling that fireman button on the phone app. Dear fireman, the student is making disrespectful remarks about black people, period. I have asked them to stop, period. They will not stop speaking disrespectfully, period. Please call parents for help, period. And I click send, and then I stop. And I say, we will wait for the fireman, okay? Let's wait. And then I move to a neutral slide. I'll go back to the beginning slide, the blank slide at the end, whatever. And then I'm typing in the chat box everything I just said. I want it on record in the classroom, and I am going to wait until the fireman comes. Okay? Now, if I sit there for 10 minutes because I'm waiting on a fireman, I'll do that. That's generally not going to happen because if you use this phone app to call the fireman, you're going to get some kind of response right away, and they're going to call the fireman in the classroom and say that it's an issue. All right? Now, as a old white lady, a person of privilege, if they say something racially derogatory, if they use the N-word and I tell them to stop and they continue or anything like that, I am going to gauge what I need to do by my feelings at that moment, okay? If they're using the N-word or something really, really bad and they won't stop, I'm going to end the class and I'm going to say class canceled for unexpected reasons. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm gonna take the hit if I need to take the hit. Okay? That's me. You decide what you want to do. Now, this is some pretty heavy stuff I've kind of laid on you here about ways to work on this. So practice. My suggestion is you practice. Don't just have it in your head what you're going to do. Get in front of a camera and practice. Get in front of a mirror. Practice your neutral face. Practice your face, whatever. Write some notes down and have it handy. And if it happens, you've got it right there and you can pull it out and look at it. Because just like in real life, it can be shocking when it happens. And everything you thought you were going to say and you're going to be brave and you're going to do this kind of goes out the window and you're like, and that happens. So practice, practice, practice. Practice in your real life for when it happens in America. Practice in your classroom for when it happens there, and be ready. Okay? I hope this helped you, showing you what I do in my classroom. And most of all, I hope that it helps us help our teachers of color and let them know that we don't expect them to continue, that we've got their back. And even though, I just want to say, even though I don't understand completely, I do stand with you. Have a good day.